What's up, everyone? Welcome to Among the Fence, my YouTube channel where I do music reviews. My name is Aaron, and today we're going to be talking about the new album Suffer in Hell by the band Chelsea Grin. For those of you who don't know, they are a deathcore band from Utah, started around 2007, and Suffer in Hell is their sixth studio album. And for some reason, I've always had a really hard time getting into Chelsea Grin. Being a huge fan of deathcore, it's just something I've tried again and again, and it's always failed. I love Tom Barber, but no matter who the vocalist is for the band, they just always feel lacking. They don't have that something. Like when I listen to Darko, I mean, he's phenomenal. I love everything that he does. But then when I hear him in Chelsea Grin, nothing really connects with me. And the musicians are great as well, but I can't really get into any of their riffs, any of their songwriting, or any of that stuff. And it's not like I dislike their music. It's just, like I said, I can't really connect with it. I wouldn't consider it to be bad whatsoever, and I really hope that this album changes everything for me. The album opens up with this song Origin of Sin that comes in with this really epic suspenseful buildup. It picks up with a chuggy guitar riff, intense vocals, and chaotic drums, and the verse has a really strong rhythm to it that I enjoyed quite a bit. The vocals have a ton of variety, not just in this song but throughout the entire album itself, and the chorus has good synth presence that make it feel a little haunting. The interlude going into the outro was fantastic, especially from the vocal performance. And this song reminds me of like a deathcore version of like This Is Halloween off of Nightmare Before Christmas. Then we have the song Forever Bloom, which features Trevor Strnad. It has like this theme park kind of vibe in the intro. I really dig the dissonant riff going into the verse, and the high vocals flow so well with the groove. Again, there's a lot of vocal variety, especially going into verse 2. The chorus is I don't want to say weakest, but it's probably the weakest moment on this song. It's still really strong though. It doesn't sound very chorusy. Definitely the verses stand out a lot more. And Trevor Strnad is featured in the outro. He sounds fantastic. I just wish he was given a little bit more. Like you hear him come in and then it's just over and you're just kind of like that. I mean, I feel like he could have been used a little bit better. Maybe had more presence on like verse 2 or maybe on one of the choruses or something. I don't know. I just wanted a little bit more from it. You know what I mean? One of my favorite songs on this album is Deathbed Companion. It starts out in the chorus, which is super intense and it sounds evil as hell. And it starts to really come together in the verse. It's got powerful triplets and guitar harmonies. The lyrics and the vocal delivery are also really creepy, and the riff that starts to form within the verse is just so good. It's got this slow build up into a breakdown that's not really bigger than anything else in this song, and it finishes off on the chorus, and the whole song feels kind of flat. And I don't mean flat as in like dull. I mean flat as in there's no climax within it. So it just makes it feel so unsettling throughout the whole thing. It just keeps the suspense going. It feels like you're going somewhere, but you never really get there. And I just love that. And I love how every single song kind of does that a little bit throughout this entire thing until we get to the closing track. Then we have the song Crystal Casket. It's got a heavy intro with tons of dissonance, followed by a chorus that's full of blast beats. The vocal choices are absolutely beautiful throughout this song, as the different nuances that Tom Barber does, they're just perfect. And the breakdown just before the chorus makes the dynamic riff in the chorus just stand out so much more. And the vocal layering used throughout this entire song and throughout this album is just so fantastic. It just stands out to me a little bit more in this song. Again, there's no huge moment, there's no climax to it. So it just keeps that creepiness, that suspensefulness going. One of my least favorite songs on this album is Flood Lungs. It starts out with this rainy intro that's signaling the floods to come, and they do come in the form of guttural growls and a fat drum passage. The chorus has like this horn section thing, sounds like it's coming from a synth. Musically, I just wasn't really feeling this song all that much, but I do love the lyrics as the narrator is expressing just how sorry he is and he's begging for forgiveness. And while this isn't like my favorite song on the album, it's definitely not bad whatsoever, and I feel like it does have its place within the story itself. Then we have another favorite song, the Isnis, which doesn't waste any time starting out on the chorus, and the verse brings out this resolving riff. And then we go into the refrain that has a lot more dynamic riff to it that sounds fantastic. It pops back up again in verse 2 that has some clean vocals that were quite a nice surprise. The breakdown is really unique, and again, a lot of just craziness coming from the vocals. This song is very, very powerful as it's presenting itself as the isness in the narrative, which is basically the state of being. Now, I know I said I have a lot of favorites on this album, but the all-time favorite one is Mourning Him. And I'm not really sure if I'm reading the story correctly. I might be wrong on this. I probably am. But I believe that this song sees the protagonist who has now failed, and he will no longer be able to see his loved ones or even remember them, as it seems like. And I'm not really sure if they're the ones going to hell or if he's going to hell, but you could really hear the torment and the vocal delivery. And for me, the drums set this song apart from all the other ones. And the second chorus is just such a strong death metal vibe to it, thanks to the lead guitar that I absolutely loved. And the interlude and guitar solo were quite unexpected, but they were absolutely brilliant. I love how it just starts out and you think you're just going to get a guitar solo, and it starts to play through the final chorus. It just keeps going and going, and it just adds just the intensity to it. It just makes it feel so much darker and so much more evil. And then we have the closing track titled Suffer in Hell, Suffer in Heaven, where this is basically just a brutal 2-minute breakdown with lots of pinched harmonics, lots of chugs. And I feel like even though the vocal performance, it's insane. Super low, very impressive. One of the reasons why I love Tom Barber is just this song alone right here. He does so much with so little. It's not complicated whatsoever. And it finishes it. It finishes the whole theme of this album by just being so simple. And I absolutely loved it. Fantastic closing track and a great way to finish off the story. I'm excited that I have finally found a Chelsea Grin album that I love. I found myself basically enjoying every song and every moment, aside from the song Flood Lungs, which, I don't know, it kind of just felt like a connection between like the first half of the album and the second half of the album. It didn't really have any standout moments in it, and it just fell kind of flat to me, which is honestly my problem with every other song that they've ever done. And I'm just glad that it's only one song on this album, and the production throughout this album is fantastic as well. It fits the atmosphere perfectly, and the storytelling throughout it has great progression to it. And this is part one of a 2-part album. And if you haven't been able to guess from the closing track, the second album will be called Suffer in Heaven. I believe it's coming out in March of next year. And I'm not really sure where the storyline in it's going to go. I'm assuming it might be the opposite side of the story for this, or it might just be, I don't know. I have no idea. I'm excited to hear it though. And musically, this album is close to perfect. I just wish there was a little bit more standout moments for the riffs, just because they sounded so good, but they hide behind everything else quite a bit. There's only a few times where the riff really gets its chance to shine, and I would have liked to have seen that a lot more because they sounded so good. However, the drum work was absolutely amazing throughout it. And I love that there's synth in here, but it hides in the background. It never becomes a focal point. It's never used as like the main thing or the main focal point of a song. It's never used as something that if it wasn't there, it would take away from the song. But while it is there, it's definitely adding to it. And I enjoyed that a lot. They didn't rely on it too much. So yeah, with all that said, I gotta give Suffer in Hell by Chelsea Grin a 8.9 out of 10. But I want to know what you guys think. Like I said earlier, I've always struggled liking Chelsea Grin, so I would like to hear what fans think of this album. Do you guys think it's one of the best things they've ever released like I do, or is it just kind of mediocre and you like their older stuff more? So yeah, leave a comment below letting me know what you thought of Suffer in Hell. Let me know what you would rate it, what your favorite song is. And if you enjoyed this review, don't forget to give it a like. If you want to help support me and my channel, please consider subscribing and leave a comment letting me know what you want me to review next. And I just thank you guys so much for taking time out of your day to listen to me talk about music. And I hope you have a good rest of your day or night whenever you happen to be watching this. And I will talk to you guys next time.
I was trying to think of it, keep it lying on. My parents said to save me.